The night sky was clear, the stars were shining like diamonds, and the world below was calm. But inside one quiet laboratory, the calm of Earth was already broken for weeks. Scientists had been receiving strange signals from the edge of the solar system. At first they thought it was simple noise, maybe just a mistake from their machines, but the signals came again and again. In the same strange pattern, Dr. Helen Carter, one of the best scientists in deep space research, leaned over her computer, her eyes tired yet sharp. She knew this was not random. "It is language," she whispered to herself. "Someone is trying to speak to us." The signals were not like anything from Earth. They carried rhythm, a pulse almost like a heartbeat. Every time she decoded a small part, the message became darker. It was not a greeting, it was not an invitation. It was a warning. Across the globe, other research centers reported the same discovery. Governments quickly ordered silence. They did not want panic, but panic was already spreading in whispers. In secret forums and in late-night conversations, ordinary people felt something heavy in the air, as if the Earth itself was holding its breath. One evening, while people in cities walked home and children played in the streets, the sky above Europe suddenly flickered. Satellites lost connection, lights blinked out, and for a moment, the night seemed too quiet. Then came the shadows from behind the moon. Something vast moved, at first too dark to see, then slowly catching the light of the sun. It was not one object, but many, each larger than the tallest building on Earth. Dr. Carter watched through her observatory telescope, her hands shaking, her voice caught in her throat. "They are here," she whispered. News channels around the world tried to explain, but their voices trembled. Military forces were placed on high alert. Leaders argued in hidden rooms, but no argument could hide the truth. Humanity was no longer alone. The ships did not land. They only hovered in silence. Their design was alien and terrifying. Sharp edges, glowing marks across their surfaces, as if they were alive. The signals that once came as whispers were now blaring openly across every device on Earth. Phones, televisions, even radios carried the same translated words. "We see you. We judge you. We erase you." The world froze. In one small town, an old man looked up at the sky and prayed. In another city, children cried and their parents tried to hide their fear. Soldiers gripped their weapons, though they knew those weapons might be useless. For the first time in human history, all nations faced the same terror, not from each other, but from beyond the stars. The scientists tried to speak back. They sent out messages of peace, of welcome, of friendship, but no reply came. Only the silence of the ships and the chilling echo of the message. 7 days. That was all the warning. 7 days before something unknown would happen. The President of the United States gathered with world leaders through a secure video link. The screen showed tired faces, desperate eyes, and the weight of billions of lives on their shoulders. One leader asked, "Should we surrender?" Another demanded, "How can we fight something like this?" But Dr. Carter, though not a soldier or a politician, spoke with calm strength. If they wanted peace, they would have answered us already. This is not a negotiation. This is judgment. Her words spread beyond the meeting, carried into newspapers, television, and the internet, and soon ordinary people repeated them. This is judgment, yet hidden inside fear. Something else began to grow, a spark. In the quiet corners of cities and underground bases, in the minds of engineers and scientists, ideas began to form. Humanity had faced destruction before, not from aliens but from war, from disasters, from each other, and still it had survived. Now the test was greater than ever. As the alien ships covered the night sky, people stood on rooftops and stared, their hearts filled with dread and wonder. The air was thick with silence. The world seemed smaller than ever, but inside that small world something fierce was awakening. Children asked their parents, "Will we die?" And the parents answered, "Not if we fight." Even if they did not know how, in one city, a group of soldiers swore to protect their people to the last breath. In another, hackers whispered plans to break into alien signals. In secret laboratories, engineers began designing weapons with technology they had never dared to test. It was too early to say if humanity would win. It was even too early to know if humanity could survive the first strike. But one truth was clear. The omen had arrived, the warning was real, and the countdown had already begun. The world was no longer the same, the stars were no longer silent, and the age of waiting was over. Humanity stood at the edge of its greatest trial, and the universe was watching. The 7 days passed like a shadow over the earth. Every sunrise felt heavier, Every night colder, people counted the hours, waiting for something they could not understand. On the seventh day, the silence finally broke. The alien fleet, which had been floating above the clouds like dark mountains, moved as one. The world's eyes turned to the sky, hearts racing, breaths held. Then, without warning, every screen on Earth flickered, from the smallest phone in a farmer's hand to the largest display in Times Square. A single image appeared. It was not a face, at least not one that looked human. It was tall, sharp, with skin like stone and eyes that glowed like burning coal. Its voice was heavy, deep and cruel. Though it spoke in perfect English, "Humans of Earth," the figure said, "your time is over. Your world was never meant to rise. You are a mistake, and mistakes must be erased." The message shook every home, every heart. The alien continued, "We are the Zorath Empire, rulers of the stars. We own the history of this galaxy, and your kind is a stain on it. Surrender your world, surrender your legacy, or face total destruction." The words struck like thunder. Children cried, parents held them close. Soldiers clenched their fists, leaders sat in silence. No one had ever seen such arrogance, such power in the United Nations chamber. Leaders argued in panic. Some demanded surrender, others shouted for war. One voice cut through the chaos. The president of a small country stood and said, "If we surrender, we are already dead. If we fight, at least we die free." The debate ended in silence. Meanwhile, in a military base deep underground, General Marcus Hale watched the alien broadcast with his officers. His jaw was tight, his voice low. "They think we are weak. They think we will kneel. They do not understand humanity." But still, the question haunted everyone. How could Earth, a single planet, fight against a galactic empire? The aliens gave no time for answers. Their ships lit up the sky. Beams of light fell on oceans, deserts, and cities. But they did not destroy, not yet. Instead, they carved burning marks into the ground. Massive symbols no one could read, warnings of what would come. Then another message echoed. 7 days you had, 7 days we gave. Now 7 days remain before Earth burns. The world trembled. Dr. Helen Carter, the scientist who first decoded the signals, sat in her lab, staring at the glowing symbols left on the Earth's surface. Her mind raced. "These are not only threats," she whispered. "They are coordinates." She saw patterns, directions pointing to places around the planet. Ancient sites, forgotten ruins, mountains that held secrets under stone. "They want to show us something," she thought. "Or maybe test us." Her discovery was rushed to leaders, but they were too divided to listen, too afraid to act, and yet whispers began to spread. Ordinary people shared her theory online, and soon millions believed. The aliens were not only threatening humanity, they were challenging it in one of the marked places. The deserts of Egypt, alien drones landed, tall machines that stood like black statues. They scanned the sand, piercing into the earth, searching for something. The world watched through live feeds. Powerless, General Hale ordered a strike. Fighter jets roared across the sky. Missiles streaked through the air, and for a moment humanity dared to hope. The missiles struck the drones. Explosions filled the desert. But when the smoke cleared, the machines still stood. Untouched, they did not fight back. They only kept digging. The message was clear. Humanity's strongest weapons meant nothing to them. But something strange happened. One drone suddenly stopped. Its light flickered, its arm froze. Hackers from an underground group cheered. They had broken into the alien signal for a few seconds. Not much, but enough to prove one thing. The aliens were not gods. They could be touched. News spread like wildfire across cities, across villages. Across every dark corner of the internet, the aliens could bleed. Hope, fragile but real, began to rise. The Zorath leader appeared again on every screen, his eyes burning with fury. "You dare resist? You dare defy us?" His voice shook like an earthquake. "Then know this, we will not simply erase your world. We will erase your history, your memory, your legacy, so no one will know humanity ever existed." The threat was worse than death. It was the destruction of every story, every dream, every trace of mankind. For a moment, the earth fell into silence again. Fear heavier than before, but then a new sound grew. Not from the aliens, but from the people. Voices rising together in homes and streets and bases. "No," they said, "no, we will not be erased." In the small lab, Dr. Carter whispered, "This is not the end. This is the beginning." In the underground base, General Hale slammed his fist on the table. "If they want to destroy our legacy, then we will fight with everything we have. Our legacy will be fire." The first contact had been made, And it was not peace, it was war. The galaxy had declared judgment, and humanity had answered. With fear, with courage, with defiance, the omen had become a promise. And the promise was simple: Earth would not bow. The world was still trembling from the alien message. Cities were filled with fear, families hid in their homes, and leaders whispered in secret rooms. But somewhere inside the chaos, something stronger than fear began to grow. Humanity had been insulted, threatened, and judged. But humanity was not broken in the underground base. General Marcus Hale stood before his soldiers, his voice steady, his eyes burning with fire. The Zorath Empire believes we are weak. They believe we will surrender. They are wrong. We have survived war, famine, plague, disasters of our own making. And still we rise, we will rise again, the soldiers shouted back, their voices echoing in the steel halls. It was not just a sound of duty, it was a sound of defiance. Meanwhile, Dr. Helen Carter worked night and day in her lab. The symbols burned into the earth still haunted her mind. She was certain they were more than threats. They are maps, she explained to her team. They are trying to show us places that matter to them or to us. And if we can understand them, maybe we can find a weakness. Her words carried hope. And hope began to spread in crowded cities. Ordinary people gathered. They built shelters. They shared food. They painted messages on walls. We will not be erased. In villages far from the centers of power, farmers prepared to defend their land with whatever they had: bows, old rifles, even sharpened tools. Humanity's spirit was waking. Across the digital world, hackers united, once rivals, now brothers and sisters in a silent war. They studied every alien transmission, every flicker of signal, every pulse of energy. They called themselves the Ghost Net, and their leader sent out a message to the people: if they think we are powerless, they will soon learn we are everywhere. In the skies, engineers worked in secret hangars, building machines that had never been tested, railguns that fired metal at impossible speeds, drones guided by artificial intelligence, satellites that could blind the enemy for a second, maybe two, and sometimes a second was all that mattered. In the seas, submarines moved quietly, their commanders whispering to their crews, "The ocean has always been our shield, and now it will be our sword." The world was divided by borders yesterday, but today it was one. The Zorath ships hung above like gods, but below, humanity was becoming something new, united, desperate, dangerous still. Fear was heavy. In one refugee camp, a little boy asked his mother, "Will the aliens kill us?" And the mother, though afraid, smiled and said, "Not if we fight together." In another city, an old man remembered the wars of the past and said, "We have seen empires fall before, and this empire too will fall." General Hale sent his words across every military channel. This is no longer about nations. This is about survival. Every soldier, every pilot, every sailor, you are no longer fighting for your flag. You are fighting for humanity itself. Dr. Carter shared her discovery with the world. She showed the maps carved by the aliens, pointing to ancient ruins in South America, frozen mountains in Antarctica, deserts in the Middle East. They fear something in these places, she said. Or they want to keep us away from them. Either way, we must know what lies there. Expeditions were sent in secret, small groups of soldiers and scientists. They moved through jungles, across ice, under burning suns, searching for answers while the alien ships watched from above. In one jungle ruin, the team found shattered stone tablets with carvings not made by human hands, symbols that matched the alien marks, proof that the Zorath had been here before, long before history remembered. The past and the present were connected, and humanity began to realize this war was not just about Earth today. It was about Earth's forgotten history. Meanwhile, the hackers of the Ghost Net broke through again, only for a few seconds, but long enough to hear something unexpected. The aliens were not united. Inside the fleet, different voices argued. Some demanded instant destruction, others wanted patience, and one voice, faint but clear, said, "Do not underestimate the humans." It was proof. The Zorath feared them, even if only a little. That whisper lit another fire in the United Nations. Leaders finally stopped arguing. They signed an agreement called the Resolve Pact, promising to share every resource, every weapon, every secret. No more borders, no more divisions. Earth would fight as one. The announcement was broadcast to the world. And for the first time since the omen appeared, people cheered. Some cried with relief. Others raised their fist to the sky. Humanity had chosen its path. The aliens wanted surrender. But they would get resistance. The Zorath leader appeared again, his coal eyes filled with rage. "You defy us. You choose death." His voice thundered across every screen. But this time, people did not tremble. They shouted back at the screens, "We choose to live." In the desert, soldiers painted the words on their tanks. In the cities, children drew them in chalk in the skies. Pilots whispered them before taking flight. "We choose to live." The world was still fragile, the weapons still untested, the army still unready, but the decision had been made. The Zorath had declared judgment, but humanity had declared resolve, and resolve, once awakened, was stronger than fear, stronger than surrender, stronger than any empire. The war for survival had truly begun, and for the first time, the aliens above saw not prey but a rival. The earth was no longer silent. Cities that once held only fear now echoed with the sound of preparation. Armies moved through streets. Engineers worked in hidden factories. Scientists whispered theories that once belonged only in dreams. The world was awake, but the Zorath were awake too. On the 14th day since their first message, the sky split open. The alien fleet moved at last. Massive ships gliding through the clouds, each one larger than a mountain, their surfaces glowing with symbols older than humanity itself. The first strike came fast, a beam of pure light falling from the heavens. It tore through the sky and smashed into the Pacific Ocean. The water boiled. A wave higher than skyscrapers rushed toward the shores. Coastal cities screamed as alarms rang. In the control room of the United Earth Defense Command, General Marcus Hale watched the devastation, his hand gripping the edge of the table, his voice steady but heavy. "They have begun." All across the globe, militaries launched their defenses. Satellites tried to jam alien signals. Fighter jets roared into the sky. Missiles fired upward in burning trails, but the alien shields glowed bright, swallowing every attack like rain on stone. People watching on screens felt their hope sink. "We cannot hurt them," they whispered. But then something happened over the deserts of Nevada. One experimental railgun fired. A weapon built in secret, firing a slug of metal faster than sound. It struck the side of a Zorath cruiser. For a moment the ship shimmered. Then a crack spread across its armor. Sparks burst out. The alien vessel shook and roared. The world cheered. For the first time, humanity had drawn blood from the gods of the sky. In a hidden hangar, Dr. Helen Carter stared at the data. "Their shields are not perfect," she whispered. "If we hit them fast enough, hard enough, they can fall." The battle spread. Alien drones rained down like black meteors, tall machines with blades of energy. They marched through cities, tearing apart tanks and burning through walls. But humanity fought back. Soldiers with rifles, drones with rockets, even civilians with fire and courage in New York. One alien drone cornered a group of children, but a firefighter armed only with a steel axe ran forward, striking again and again until the drone collapsed. The story spread like fire, proof that even ordinary people could stand against the invaders. In the digital world, the GhostNet hackers struck again, their attack timed with the railgun fire. They disrupted the signal of one alien ship for just 10 seconds, long enough for human fighters to swarm it, missiles crashing against its wounded armor, and in a blaze of fire it fell into the sea. The ocean shook, and the world shook with it. 2 alien ships destroyed, thousands still remained, but hope was no longer fragile. It was alive. The Zorath leader appeared once more, his coal eyes burning with fury. "You dare resist us, you dare wound us," his voice thundered. "Then your world will suffer, your cities will burn, your skies will fall," and so they struck harder. Beams of light cut across Europe, tearing highways, melting steel. Entire blocks vanished into fire. In Asia, alien machines drained power from entire grids. Plunging millions into darkness, the earth itself trembled under the clash. Yet everywhere resistance grew. Submarines launched hidden torpedoes that pierced the belly of alien frigates. Mountain bases fired rockets from secret silos. Resistance fighters in occupied zones sabotaged alien drones with homemade bombs. Every battle, every strike was a message. "We will not bow." Dr. Carter worked with a secret team inside an old bunker, decoding alien transmissions stolen by GhostNet. She discovered something shocking. "They are angry, but they are also afraid," she whispered. "Afraid of what we can become, afraid of what we already are." Her words spread quickly. Soldiers carried them in their hearts. Civilians repeated them in shelters. Even leaders spoke them in broadcasts. "The Zorath fear us." The battle reached its peak in the skies above Earth's orbit. Alien ships tried to cut off satellites, but human rockets launched to defend them. One brave crew aboard the station Horizon sacrificed themselves, crashing their vessel into an alien warship, destroying it in a blaze of fire. Their names became legend that same night. General Hale stood before his exhausted soldiers, his voice carrying strength. They are stronger but not invincible. They are many but not endless. Every ship we destroy, every drone we crush, is a step toward survival. And survival is victory. On the streets, people chanted, "Survival is victory." It became the new heartbeat of the world. The aliens had declared humanity a mistake. But mistakes do not fight back. Mistakes do not adapt. Mistakes do not bleed their enemies. Humanity was proving it was no mistake. It was a storm as the first great battle ended. The Earth lay scarred. Cities burned. Oceans raged, but above the smoke, the alien fleet was thinner, weaker, no longer untouchable. The clash of titans had begun, and though humanity had taken its wounds, it had also taken something greater: belief. Belief that it could stand against the empire of the stars. Belief that it could carve its name into history. Belief that its legacy would not end in fire but rise from it. The Zorath had expected fear. They had found fury. The galaxy had expected silence. It now heard the roar of Earth. The war was no longer a warning, no longer a threat. It was real. It was here. And it was only the beginning. The smoke of battle still hung in the skies. Earth was scarred but not broken. Cities burned, yet people still stood. Soldiers returned to their bases wounded but alive. And for the first time since the alien arrival, humanity felt it had a chance. But the Zorath were not finished high above. Their leader appeared once more on every screen, his eyes burning like fire, his voice echoing like thunder. "You are stubborn, you are reckless, and now you must know the truth. This war is not only about your world. It is about your crime." The world held its breath. Dr. Helen Carter sat frozen in her lab, her computer screen flickering as the alien broadcast unfolded. Images appeared, not of the present but of the past. Ancient battles fought in the stars, fleets clashing, worlds burning. Civilizations erased, the Zorath leader continued. "Long before your history began, before your kind even learned fire, our empire ruled this galaxy, yet one world defied us. One primitive world destroyed a fleet we had sent. That world was Earth." Gasps spread across every corner of the planet. People stared at their screens in disbelief. The alien explained, "We marked your world as cursed, a place where defiance was born, and yet you rose again. Against fate, against our will, and now your very existence is an insult to us, to our legacy." The message was clear. This was not just war, it was vengeance. General Marcus Hale slammed his fist on the table as he listened. "So this is their reason. Not conquest, not resources, but pride." His voice was heavy with anger. "They want to erase us because they cannot forget a wound from the past. In the ruins of a city," a boy whispered to his father. "We hurt them once," the father nodded. "And we will hurt them again." Dr. Carter studied the alien images closely. Her sharp mind racing, she noticed details in the battles, shapes of weapons, designs of ships, strange symbols hidden on debris. She whispered to her team, "These are not stories, they are records. And if Earth defeated them once, there must have been something, some weapon, some knowledge. We lost to time." Her theory spread like lightning, across bases, across forums, across secret networks, and suddenly the war had a new meaning. Humanity was not only defending its future, it was rediscovering its past. The expeditions sent to the ruins around the world became more important than ever. In the frozen mountains of Antarctica, a team uncovered tunnels carved by unknown hands. Deep within, they found fragments of technology, strange metal shards humming with energy, far older than human civilization. In the jungles of South America, another team discovered statues with alien markings, their eyes carved to look at the stars, their hands holding symbols that matched the Zorath fleet. "They have been here," one soldier whispered. "They feared us then, and they fear us now." The discovery spread hope, but also fear. If humanity had once fought the Zorath, why had history forgotten what had been the cost? Meanwhile, the GhostNet hackers struck gold. They intercepted a hidden transmission between alien ships, voices arguing, one voice demanding total destruction, another voice warning of the ancient weapon. The hackers released the message to the world. The words shook every heart. The Zorath were not only angry, they were afraid. afraid of something that still slept on Earth, something humans themselves did not understand. General Hale addressed the world in a rare broadcast, his voice deep and steady. The enemy does not fear our armies. They do not fear our weapons. They fear our history. They fear what we once were and what we can become again. If they want to erase our legacy, then we will make sure our legacy burns brighter than theirs. The word spread like fire. From soldiers in bunkers to children in shelters, from hackers in dark rooms to farmers in open fields, humanity no longer saw itself as prey. It saw itself as heirs of a forgotten strength. But the Zorath struck again, their fury unmatched in Africa. They leveled entire cities in Europe. They unleashed storms that tore across the land in Asia. They dropped machines that drained rivers dry. The message was clear. Defiance will cost you everything. Yet even in the ruins, voices rose in a destroyed hospital. A nurse continued to treat the wounded with only scraps of supplies. When asked why she kept fighting, she answered, "Because if they erase us, let it be known that humanity stood till the last breath." Her words reached millions. Dr. Carter finally pieced together more of the symbols, her eyes wide with realization. "The ancient weapon," she whispered. "It is not a machine, it is not a bomb, it is knowledge. Knowledge hidden in our own history. Something we forgot, but they remember. And that is why they fear us." The revelation struck like lightning. Humanity's greatest weapon might not be technology, but memory. Memory of what it once achieved. The Zorath wanted to destroy the legacy of Earth, but in their anger they had reminded humanity of it. The world was burning, but in the flames. Humanity's spirit was rising. The fallen were no longer only victims. They were symbols. Every ruined city a promise. Every lost life a vow. And so, as the alien fleet prepared for their next great assault, the people of Earth whispered one sentence: "We are the legacy of the fallen, and we will not be erased." The Earth was scarred, but it was alive. The cities burned, but the people refused to bow. The Zorath Empire had promised to erase humanity. Yet the more they struck, the stronger humanity became. Deep inside a hidden bunker, General Marcus Hale studied new reports, his tired eyes reading every line. "We cannot win with numbers," he said, "but we can win with change. We adapt, we learn. We steal their fire and make it ours." And that was exactly what humanity began to do. For weeks, scientists and engineers had been working with fragments of alien technology, shards of drones, scraps of ships, strange metals that hummed with energy. Most of it was impossible to understand, but piece by piece progress was made. Dr. Helen Carter stood before her team, holding a glowing shard in her hands. "This is more than metal," she explained. "It remembers energy, it bends light if we can harness this. Our weapons will no longer be blind." Her words inspired sleepless nights of work, and soon prototypes appeared. Rifles that fired beams instead of bullets, armor that could resist alien heat, small shields that lasted for only seconds but gave soldiers time to strike. In the underground world of GhostNet, the hackers also evolved. They built new systems that could ride alien signals like waves, slipping between their codes, stealing fragments of information one night. They broke into the fleet's internal channels and left behind a single message: "Humanity is watching you." When soldiers read the story, they laughed, and in the middle of war, laughter was as powerful as any weapon. The first great test came in the ruins of Shanghai. Alien drones marched through the streets, their blades glowing, their eyes burning, but this time, the resistance was ready. Soldiers in new armor stood tall, their rifles glowing with stolen light. When the drones attacked, the humans answered. Beams of fire clashed with beams of steel. Explosions shook the ground, and for the first time, the alien machines fell faster than they rose. A young soldier shouted through the smoke, "We can beat them," and his voice carried across the battlefield. News of the victory spread across the world, in villages, in shelters, in hidden bases. People cheered, people wept, people believed. But the Zorath were not blind. They noticed the change. They saw their own technology turned against them, and for the first time they hesitated. Inside the alien fleet, voices argued again. "Destroy them now," one demanded. "No," another replied, "if we strike too hard, we risk awakening what sleeps on their world." The whispers reached GhostNet, and the hackers shared them with Earth. Once more the mysterious words appeared. "What sleeps on their world?" Dr. Carter read them aloud. "The ancient weapon, the legacy we have forgotten. They fear we will find it." Expeditions raced to uncover the truth. In Antarctica, scientists uncovered a frozen chamber, Inside it lay a giant machine, broken, silent, but marked with both human and alien symbols, proof that long ago Earth had touched the stars. General Hale visited the chamber himself, standing before the broken giant. "If our ancestors fought them once, then they left us this gift," he said, "and we will finish what they started." But humanity did not wait for the past to awaken. It fought in the present. In Africa, resistance fighters used alien shields to protect villages. In South America, submarines fired torpedoes tipped with alien shards, piercing the armor of Zorath warships. In Europe, entire battalions fought under banners that read, "Legacy and Future." The tide was beginning to turn. The Zorath leader appeared once more, but his voice was no longer calm, no longer certain. His eyes burned with rage. "You twist our power into your own. You defile the stars with your hands. You dare rise where you should crawl." His fury only fed the fire. In the streets of ruined cities, children painted symbols of hope in bunkers. Soldiers carved the words, "Never erased," into their weapons. In laboratories, scientists whispered, "Every second we live is another victory." The climax came during the Battle of the Atlantic, where a fleet of alien ships descended, determined to crush human resistance once and for all. But waiting for them were submarines, railguns, stolen alien cannons, and the courage of thousands. The ocean shook as missiles and beams crossed the waves. One by one, alien ships fell into the sea, burning like falling stars. Humans cheered from the shores. "This is our water. This is our fight." It was not an easy victory. Thousands died, cities were lost, but in the end, 3 alien warships lay broken beneath the waves. The Zorath had expected a quick conquest. Instead, they found a rival that adapted faster than any empire they had faced. Dr. Carter looked up at the night sky, filled with the glow of burning wrecks. "This is the turning," she whispered. "From prey to predator. From hunted to hunter." General Hale gave his soldiers new orders. His voice strong. "We will not only defend, we will strike. We will take the fight to them. This is no longer survival. This is victory in motion." And across the world, the people of Earth shouted together, "Victory in motion." The tide had turned. The galaxy that once looked down on humanity as weak now felt a chill. The Zorath Empire was bleeding, and the humans they had come to erase were rising. The war was not finished, the battles were not done, but the path had shifted. Humanity was no longer waiting for the end. Humanity was writing its own future, and the future would not be erased. The war had stretched across weeks that felt like years. Earth was scarred, its oceans black with wreckage, its skies marked with fire, its cities broken yet still alive, and above it all the Zorath fleet still hovered vast and merciless. But humanity was no longer the same as when the first shadow fell. It had bled. It had burned. It had buried its dead, but it had also learned. It had adapted. It had risen. In the command bunker of the United Earth Defense, General Marcus Hale stood before a map of the stars, not just of Earth but of the orbit above. "This is it," he said, his voice steady. "Their main fleet moves toward Earth's orbit. This will be their final strike. And it will be ours too." Around him stood soldiers, pilots, engineers, and even civilians who had joined the fight. No longer divided by borders, no longer separated by flags, they were simply humanity. One force, one people, one future. Dr. Helen Carter stepped forward, holding the data recovered from ruins and hacked transmissions. "We cannot match their numbers, but we have something else," she said, her voice calm but fierce.
"The ancient weapon is not just a machine."
"It is us. It is our ability to adapt, to remember, to take what was meant to destroy us and make it our shield. They fear our memory, and tonight they will learn why." Her words echoed in the hearts of all who listened. The battle began as the alien fleet descended, beams of fire raining down, their war drums of light shaking the earth. But waiting for them was not fear. Waiting for them was fire. Railguns roared from hidden mountains. Submarines launched torpedoes tipped with alien shards. Drones swarmed through the skies, guided by stolen codes. Satellites blinded alien sensors, and human ships, patched together with stolen technology and desperate hope, rose from the oceans like beasts from the deep. The clash was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Above the Atlantic, 3 massive alien warships descended, their shields glowing, their cannons burning. But the human fleet met them head-on. Missiles streaking upward, beams crashing downward, the ocean itself trembling with the fury of the clash. In the chaos, The space station Horizon 2 launched its final mission, crewed by volunteers who knew they would never return. They carried with them a reactor built from alien shards, unstable, dangerous, but powerful enough to shatter a giant. They drove their vessel into the heart of a Zorath battleship. The explosion lit the sky brighter than the sun, and the alien giant fell. The world cheered. But the Zorath leader appeared once more, his voice filled with rage. "You defile our legacy. You twist our power, but this ends now. Your history dies here." General Hale stood tall in the command bunker, his voice broadcast across every channel. "No, our history begins here. You wanted to erase our legacy, but our legacy is every life you could not crush, every child that still laughs, every soldier that still stands, every human that refuses to kneel. We are the legacy of Earth, and we will rise." The words spread like lightning. Shouted in trenches, whispered in shelters, carved into weapons, the final push began. GhostNet hackers broke through the alien command network, flooding it with false orders. Alien ships fired on each other in confusion, their perfect unity shattered by human chaos. In orbit, pilots flew suicide missions, striking alien cruisers with stolen beams in the deserts. Ground forces trapped drones in ambushes in the seas. Submarines dragged crippled ships into the depths. Everywhere humanity fought with fire, steel, and will. Dr. Carter watched as signals flickered, her eyes wide. "They are breaking," she whispered. "Their empire is bleeding," and then it happened. One by one, the alien ships began to retreat, their massive forms turning away from Earth. The once proud fleet fleeing into the dark, their leader's voice no longer thunder, but silence. The world was stunned. On rooftops, in ruins, in bunkers, people stared at the sky as the shadows pulled back. Children asked, "Is it over?" And for the first time, parents answered, "Yes." "They are gone." Cheers erupted across the planet. Not just cheers of survival, but cheers of victory. General Hale stood before his weary soldiers, his voice heavy but proud. "We have survived the storm, but more than that, we have shown the stars who we are. We are not a mistake, we are not prey, we are humanity. And this is only our beginning." Dr. Carter looked at the night sky. Now clear, the stars burning like 1,000 promises. "They wanted to erase us," she whispered. "But instead they have written our name across the galaxy. Humanity will not only live, it will lead. In cities, people rebuilt. In villages, they planted again. In shelters, children laughed. The scars were deep, but the spirit was deeper. The Zorath had promised to destroy the legacy of Earth, but in their rage they had created it. A legacy of defiance, of courage, of survival. A legacy that would be remembered not only on Earth, but one day across the stars. And as the sun rose over a wounded yet unbroken planet, one sentence echoed everywhere, from soldiers to scientists, from children to elders: we are humanity, and we will never be erased. The war for survival was over. The age of humanity had just begun.